Last month, June 2021, my net income was $7,946. I spent $1,478, and that equals 19% of my net income. In other words, a whopping 81% of new savings and investments. In this video, I'll cover everything from income sources, business and personal expenses, investments, and how many hours I work on average per day. Make sure to follow along if you're curious how I can save 81% of my income. I'll make sure to leave timestamps in the description, so if you're not interested in hearing the technical details about my online business, you can skip those parts of the video. So let's start with the most important part, which is my monthly income. So my total business revenue was $16,449. I had $4,013 in business expenditures, which results in a net profit of $12,436. So here in the Netherlands, we pay a pretty high tax bill compared to other countries, and I'm probably paying around $4,490 in taxes next year for last month, June 2021. So the result is a net income of $7,946 for June 2021. So my primary source of income is my Dutch puppy training business, where I sell these 4 self-published books about puppy training. I have another video on my channel where I go in depth on why and how I started this business, which I will link below in the description. But in a nutshell, a few years ago in 2018, the money I earned from this business surpassed my living expenses for the first time. So in 2018, I became a full-time creator thanks to my puppy training business. So my Dutch puppy training business generated 97% of my income last month, in June. This business generated $16,023 last month. So this wasn't always the case, since I used to do internet marketing freelance work before for various local businesses and e-commerce companies. Still, I wasn't a big fan of working for other people, since I could do the same trick for my own projects. So I eventually quit doing freelance work altogether, when my side hustle, the puppy training business, performed better and better. So despite that this is my primary source of income, it isn't my main day-to-day activity. I only spent 2 hours per week on this business last month. And I want to make sure to let it sink in for a moment. My total business revenue for this Dutch puppy training business alone was $16,023. I had $4,013 in business expenditures, which results in a net profit of $12,436. Dividing that by the hours worked last month is $1,554 per hour. That's the beauty of an automated online business. It's because I automated most of the processes and have outsourced most tasks to other people. So I spent $487 on freelancers last month. So one person does email support and also does the packing and shipping. I paid $801 for shipping my paperback books to my customers in June. The other freelancer is a dog trainer that goes live on Facebook 2 times per week to answer questions from customers and followers. So of those $16,023 I generated from my Dutch puppy training business, $12,330 came from product sales, primarily books, from my WordPress store. $3,437 came from a third-party seller similar to Amazon, where I also sell my books. I also have a YouTube channel for this business that generated $148 in YouTube ad revenue. So the ad rates for this channel are pretty decent. So although I haven't uploaded any new videos to the channel since October 2019, it still generated 18,300 views last month. So I sent people to the YouTube videos through my WordPress blog and my email list. So the most popular video on that channel has close to 100,000 views. So the main idea of this YouTube channel was and still is to gain trust and sell my products. My WordPress store received more than 80,000 visitors last month, whereas 46% of that number is Google organic traffic. 32% is paid traffic, and some other traffic sources like an email newsletter, referrals, social, etc. So for my paid traffic, I mostly use Google Ads at the moment. My Google Ads costs last month were around $1,400. There are also some Amazon and Bing ads, but that's only a couple of dollars. I'll probably create a video about Google Ads somewhat in the future. And I track all my website data with Google Analytics, which is a fantastic tool from Google in my opinion. I will probably make a video about Google Analytics too. So for my puppy training business newsletter, I use the email marketing software ConvertKit. I pay $266 every month for up to 45,000 subscribers in my newsletter. It's an annual payment, so it doesn't show up in last month's financials. You can find a video on my channel related to the best free email marketing software tools. There is also a video about ConvertKit. I did cancel ConvertKit's subscription because I want to try another email marketing tool that's less expensive. I will probably create a video about the switch soon. I also paid for 4 other software tools last month, and these software tools are the podcast hosting software Libsyn, my bookkeeping software, an Adobe subscription for Photoshop and Premiere Pro for video editing, and then lastly there's Teachable, a software tool that helps you create an online course. So for my Dutch puppy training business, next to my self-published books, I host an online course on Teachable. So then there also are some smaller business expenditures. I won't bother you within this video, but if you're curious about the total expenditure list, please see the blog post I published on my blog creatorhack.com. But in a nutshell, my total business expenditures were $4,013, whereas Google Ads is the biggest expenditure. So besides my Dutch puppy training business, I also generated $285 from my English puppy training business. So I translated my 4 self-published books into English, and those books are now available on Amazon. So last month I generated $185 from selling my books on Amazon. So I also created a WordPress blog and a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel generated $100 in YouTube ad revenue. So how many hours did I work? So in a nutshell, I worked 4 hours on average per day. I often work from early in the morning until the late afternoon with breaks in between. Sometimes I work in the evenings and on weekends, but I do most of the heavy lifting during regular business days and hours. So these 4 hours might not seem much to the ones that work 8 hours per day as an employee, but these 4 hours are uninterrupted, deep work, productive hours. So I use the Pomodoro technique when working. So if you're not familiar with the Pomodoro technique, then it's definitely something to check out. I highly recommend using it. So in a nutshell, I use the iPhone app Be Focused, and I have set it on 25 minutes per working session. I most often do 10 to 15 Pomodoros per day, and as said before, I spend a little less than 2 hours per week on the Dutch puppy training business that generates 97% of my total income for the month. So I spent 52% of my working time on this YouTube channel. Most of the time goes into researching content ideas and scripting the videos. Then there is editing the videos and publishing the videos to YouTube. 24% of my working time I spent exploring TikTok and creating TikTok videos. But I ended up not pursuing TikTok any longer because it's a bit shallow. There's only so much I can say within a 1-minute time frame. And I can't seem to find a good template for what videos to post. So if you have any ideas on TikTok templates, please let me know in the comments. So I spent around 2 hours per week on bookkeeping, 2 hours on brainstorming, and like 1 hour on my blog creatorhack.com. I plan to focus on growing this YouTube channel as well as my blog creatorhack.com. I will focus more on sharing my expertise and experiences with building a side hustle / online business. I have more than 10 years of experience with internet marketing that I want to share with others by posting YouTube content, blog content, and online courses. So the first online course that I plan to launch is about starting and growing an email newsletter, since having an email newsletter was one of the core ingredients of the success of my puppy training business. It helped me develop product ideas and launch my products into the world when they were ready. So this video you're watching right now will also be a recurring monthly video topic. I believe sharing my journey to financial independence and all my experiences will help and motivate others to follow a similar path. I know it definitely helped me back in the day when I started my online business journey to see what others do that are further along in their journey. It still helps me watching and reading about the journey of others to financial independence. So hopefully me sharing this with you helps you too, as it did for me. So how much did I personally spend in June last month? So I spent $11,848 to purchase new stocks. I bought 81 new shares of the Vanguard All World ETF and 33 new Vanguard Emerging Markets ETF shares. I will discuss my total investment portfolio and net worth at the end of this video. So I live together with my girlfriend in a rental property and we paid a total sum of $985 for rent, taxes, gas, electricity and water. Furthermore, we spent $565 on groceries and some other stuff, totaling $1,629. So we divide the cost equally, so therefore this cost me $815. Furthermore, I spent $504 on clothes, $130 on car payments like gas, insurance, taxes, and some other stuff, totaling $663. So adding those two numbers together, we get a total of $1,478 I spent personally in June last month. So excluding the stock purchases I made. So as said at the beginning of this video, my total income was $7,946. So my total cost of $1,478 for June equals 19% of my net income. In other words, a whopping 81% of total new savings and investments. So let's now talk about investments. So since October last year, I bought around $12,000 to $15,000 worth of stocks and cryptos every single month. Primarily stocks though. So my goal is to have $2.5 million invested, diversified in various assets. Why? Because I don't want to have financial headaches. I want to live a financial free life without the need to worry about paying my bills or taking care of myself and my family. So besides the basic need to pay the bills, I also want to have more free time than the average person to spend time with my family and enjoy my hobbies and multiple vacations every single year. So as of now, my total investments are worth $176,633. These investments are 59% of my total net worth. I still hold a significant percentage of my total net worth in cash, but I'm slowly switching to a higher percentage invested. So I have $124,426 in cash, which is 41% of my total net worth. So how do I invest my money? So I have 83% of my investments in stocks and 17% invested in crypto. For my total investments, I have 69% invested in the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. I own 1,484 shares of this ETF. Next up, we have Bitcoin. From my total investments, I have 14% invested in Bitcoin and I own a bit more than 0.75 Bitcoin. So the last time I bought new Bitcoin was April 23, and the reason I haven't bought more is that having 10% of my total net worth in cryptos is more than enough. At least in my opinion. Next up, we have the Vanguard All World ETF. So from my total investments, 11% is invested in the Vanguard All World ETF. I own 165 shares of this ETF. Then there is Ethereum. From my total investments, I have 3% invested in Ethereum. I own a bit more than 2.19 Ethereum, and as of making this video, the current value per Ethereum is $2,103. My average purchase price of my Ethereum is $1,068, which results in a paper profit of $2,257 or 95.71%. Lastly, from my total investments, I have 3% invested in the Vanguard Emerging Markets ETF. So my plan is to invest more in stocks and other assets until I have $2.5 million invested. So why $2.5 million? Well, I have another video about this, which I will link below in the description. But in a nutshell, when you have $2.5 million invested, you can easily spend $75,000 per year of your total assets without running out of money ever. Because $75,000 from $2.5 million is only 3%. So if those $2.5 million generate a return of 8% annually, for example, your investments will continue to grow despite you taking out 3% from it. It's the same thing with having $1 million invested or $500,000 or $100,000 for that matter. So this is the end of the video. Before you go, make sure to leave a comment. Just a simple hello is good enough for me. Also check out my website creatoract.com for a more detailed text version of all the things I discussed in this video. There's a link to the blog post in the description. So thanks for watching and hopefully we'll meet again next time. Bye bye my friend.